guys, welcome back to my channel, Lenette Looks. And if you're new, welcome to my channel. I'm glad to have you. Today I'm super excited to be reviewing a movie that I absolutely loved, and it is starring Cary Grant. If you've been to my channel before, you know I've discussed in previous episodes that I really do admire and love the work of Cary Grant. I love his classic movies, and I am currently binge watching many more movies that I am excited to also review on my channel. But first, let's get started with this one. Today, I'm so excited again to be discussing Cary Grant in Mr. Lucky. And it is a 1943 classic film. And in this movie, he plays the bad guy. And he plays a really good bad guy. The movie starts off in New York City. And Mr. Cary Grant plays Joe Adams. And Joe Adams is a con man. He is a gambler. He's very good at gambling and winning. He has a lot of tricks up his sleeve to win. And he does whatever it takes to get money, basically conning people. We learn that Joe, in this day and age, he is set to possibly be drafted for war. So in order to escape that, because he does not want to go to war, he needs a new identity. And the identity is of a dead man, an ex-gangster, and an ex-criminal, and his name happens to also be Joe, but the last name is Boskopoulos. At the same time, Joe's partner in crime, Zep, is also getting a draft notice. So they both get draft notices to, go to war. And they have this one guy that they found his identity and they can claim it. And so what they do is they bet, and whoever wins this little game they're gonna play against each other can get the identity of this dead man, Joe Boskopoulos, in order to avoid getting drafted. So Joe and Zep go ahead and they play the game, and Joe wins. So now Zep has to go, and you see him, he's in line, and then he's getting his physical and everything like that. And guess what? Zep actually can't serve because he has high blood pressure. So he is super happy that he's not going to go to war, and he can continue his scheme along with Joe. So Joe's plan is to get enough money in order for him to buy this gambling ship, so that way he can have people spending their money on his ship, and he can continue his little schemes and tricks to get people's money. So he's outside, and he winds up getting approached by this woman who is one of the heads of this charity for war. It's a war relief charity. And she asked Joe if he can donate, and then Joe's like, oh, I'll let me get your information. Yeah, I'll come back and I'll take a look at it or whatever. He just brushes her off. And afterwards, he gets an idea. He's like, wait a second, I could use this charity and do a little scheme in order to get the charity's money so he can go ahead and use it for his plan. And so you see him trying to do some maneuvers in order to get this charity to host a day of gambling. You know how people play slots, or they play all the the casinos and stuff, to set that up during one of the charity nights, so then he can con people out of their money, so that way he can have it for himself and split it with some of his crew. Little by little, he's starting to get closer to Dorothy, and he's starting to get closer to the purpose of the charity, and something happens that totally reverses what his intentions are. Not 100%, but it totally reverses the way he's thinking, and he starts to reconsider what he's doing. I love seeing Cary Grant as a con man, as a badass, as a bad guy, because he did it really well. It was interesting because the leading lady, played by Lorraine Day, Dorothy, she doesn't like him in the beginning because she thinks like he's full of baloney, you know? As she's getting to know him, he's actually getting under her skin and she's liking him. She's starting to like him. She's starting to like him. He's starting to like her, but he's still I shouldn't say gangster. He's more just a con man. But he's starting to have feelings for her, but he's still very guarded because his lifestyle doesn't allow for him to have relationships. He's constantly on the go. As he rips people off, he has to leave the area. So he's never in an area long enough to have people close to him, to be in any type of relationships. And he lets her know that. And she, in the meantime, is supporting him, and she little by little finds out who he is, who he really is. And that does not stop her from liking him even more. Her grandfather, he starts to get wind of Joe Boscopoulos. Remember, he has this new identity. So her grandfather looks him up and he's like, oh my God, he's a gangster. What are you doing with him? He's been convicted several times. Like, what is the draw with this guy? I want him out of here. And he even confronts Joe on this. And her grandfather is fuming. Like, what is wrong with you? Why in the world would you like him? He's dangerous. He's a dangerous guy. And she says, it's exciting. His life is exciting, and it's exciting to her. As much as she's getting to know him more and more, and he's revealing himself to her, she's liking him more and more, because in her world, she's never known somebody like that. He is very unpredictable, and she's excited about the danger, but she's also falling for him. Like, it's one thing, like, oh, it's a little bit of excitement in her life because he's like this cool, dangerous guy, and suave and good looking and everything. And it's kind of like you meet the bad boy and you fall for the bad guy, but then, you know, you can't really have a real true relationship with him. But I'm not gonna spill any tea on that because it can go either way with them. And honestly, I didn't know where it was gonna go because Joe has almost like a steel coating around his heart. Like, he does not want to let anyone in. He's really tough, and he doesn't have a lot of sensitive aspects about him. But as you learn more and more about his life and what happens with his family, you get to see Joe in a different light, especially as he ponders and reconsiders what to do with this money that he's ripping people off of. One thing that I must say that really shocked me was something that he does to her. He does something to her that was shocking. My mouth was like open as soon as I saw him do that. I was like, oh my God, I can't believe he just did that to her. But then afterwards I thought, oh wow, like, okay, I understand why he did that. He's really, you see his heart, but it's like a really intense scene that happens, and you have to see this movie in order to see this part of the movie. It shows and reveals so much of his character, and I can't say any more about it. You have to see that part of the movie. But I tell you, I give it 5 out of 5. I loved it. I loved every bit of it. I thought that he played the gangster role so well, the con man role so well. And he even had a lot of slang that she was learning from him, and she started to understand his street lingo. And I thought that was really funny and really cute, because then they both kind of like got along and they started talking back and forth with the street slang that he was teaching her, and she was really getting a hang of it and she really liked it. So you have the con man and the, you know, kind of uptight a little bit woman who loosens up somewhat being around him. And it's like opposites attract in this movie. But where does it go? Where does it go? Can a con man settle down with this woman who is the supporter of a charity and who has a pretty clean and simple, well, I shouldn't say simple life, but, you know, compared to a con man's life, she has a pretty clean, you know, simple, no criminal activity going on in her world. But when the two collided, something happens to both of them, and he really changes her world. She got the wind knocked out of her. He really did change, and so did she, from the beginning all the way to the end of this. And I do honestly admire what he was doing, because he was doing something to guard her from him, even though he really wanted more. He was telling her things and letting her know that he is not worth her fighting for him. In any case, I can't get into it anymore, because I want to spill the tea so bad. I want to say all the juicy parts, but this film is filled with lots of pieces of just an exciting story, a love story, a drama, and it's not like a lovey-dovey love story all the way through. It is not. It is filled with mystery. What's gonna happen? What is he gonna do? What is she gonna do? What is her family gonna do? What about the war? Is he going to get drafted? Is he gonna get caught? Are they gonna come looking for him? Or is he gonna get found out? And does he have an enemy in his crew? You will have to watch this movie to find out. There was a part in this movie, and I can't help but continue talking about it. But there was a part in this movie where she offends him, and he pretty much told her off at that piece, and she didn't know she offended him. It was like he was telling her, "Oh, you think that being with me would be bad, being with my kind of people? Well, let me tell you." And he just goes, and her eyes were like open, like, "Oh, that's what you got from that?" Like she had no idea that was even offensive to say or to do what she was doing. She was innocently doing something and saying something to her family, to her grandfather, and Joe let her have it. And anyway, another beautiful movie featuring the great, charismatic, dreamy Cary Grant. And you know something, looks can only go so far. He's a very good looking man. Like when he wears his suits and the hat and everything, he pulls it together so well. But looks can only go so far. His charisma, his acting chops are just stellar. Like he really creates the scene. The scene is there, but he really animates everything that he is in so well. I've liked every single movie that I've seen of his thus far. I have not seen all of them, and I have made a pact with myself that I want to see all of them. I'm really enamored by him and his work. Unfortunately, he's no longer around. He did pass away. He's These are classic films from way back. And the only movie that I did not really like, and it wasn't because of his acting, it was because I could not stand Katharine Hepburn. The way she was acting in this movie, it just was really annoying. It just annoyed me. Sorry if I offended anyone who loves this movie, Bringing Up Baby. It's a 1938 film, but I just thought, wow, I'm trying to get through this movie, and Cary Grant was helping me get through that movie. His acting, the way he was, but her acting in that movie, Bringing Up Baby, it was like nails on a chalkboard. I don't know, the way her character was, very whiny, very I just couldn't. I might have to see it again, but just to reconfirm that I didn't like it, but it had nothing to do with Cary Grant's acting. I wish he had a different co-star in that movie. It would have come out way better in my eyes, my viewpoint. But in any case, there's something else I wanted to tell you about this movie, Mr. Lucky. What she told her grandfather when he asked, what is it about this guy that you like about him? He's bad. He's not good for you. And she says this: Joe's the first man that I've ever met that I'm afraid of. Okay, that's not good. That's not good. And she should be afraid of him, but it's exciting to her. And you know, some people get off on danger, and she definitely is riding that wave, and she's thinking this is exciting, but that can only go so far. Like, how afraid do you want to be? How much more afraid do you want to be, you know? But I thought that was really interesting, and she was really honest with her grandfather about that feeling that she gets when she's with him. And oh my God, she gets lost. You're gonna find out how this woman just changes, and what she does for Joe, and what happens, but also what he does for her. In that scene that I was telling you about, that he does something very shocking, but then afterwards I'm like, okay, I could understand why he did that, because his hard shell she was finally cracking it, and he did something so shocking to her that I couldn't believe it. But then afterwards I thought, okay, I understand how he could have done that to her, and out of the fact that he was having feelings for her. But you're gonna have to see what he does. There was another part where she is talking to him, and she's fixing his tie and everything like that, and then he's like, he doesn't want her to like mess with him. He's like, you know, okay, and then she's like, when has anybody ever had some control over you? And he says, no one has ever controlled me, and nobody ever will. So it's like he was telling her right there, like, don't even try it. I am my own man. He's a tough guy, and he's not willing to bend for anyone. So watch Mr. Lucky. It is a really great film. I hope you enjoyed this review, and let me know in the comments if you did see this movie. I'd love to hear your take on it. I'd love to hear your opinion. So go ahead and drop those comments. If you like this video, press the like button and subscribe to my channel. It really does help support me in making more videos. On that note, guys, I will see you on the next one.